What's up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again. It is podcast day. And ladies and gentlemen, we've got an amazing show for you today. Today we're going to break down our way too early All-Star selections, both the American League and National League. Just to give you guys kind of what's gonna happen. We're gonna go position by position, and we're gonna do the starting nine. And starting nine. Let's include the pitcher too. But total, each one of us are going to have a starting nine, 3 total starting pitchers. We're not going to get into the relief pitchers or closers or anything like that today. And then we're going to give you 3 reserve players as well as a DH on both sides. So, and games in Colorado, correct? 2Ks?
Correct. Yep.
All right.
Supposed to be in Texas? Is that where it was going to be? And then all changed? Or no, was it Atlanta?
Atlanta.
And then it changed, yeah.
Yeah, so for those of you just joining us for the first time, my name is Ryan Turbo Jackson. I'm the host of this madness, and across the table from me is, as always, the handsome, the luscious Kyle 2Ks Kaler. And we give you our amateur opinion on everything sports. So if you just wandered in, you have found the Turbo and 2K show. All right, well, 2Ks, you know as well as I do, anytime we get to talk about baseball, I'm fucking stoked.
Yes.
And I know that it goes without saying because you are as well. And for those of you who've been following us for a while, that shouldn't be a surprise whatsoever. And for those of you that are joining us, go ahead and drop a comment. Agree with us, disagree with us. Let's get a conversation started. And if you are new, go ahead and tell us where you're from, because we would love to feature you on the show. And so with all that being said, 2Ks, let's jump into the box score. And the box score is where we tell you to like, subscribe, comment, share this around, because that's the biggest way this channel grows. And if you're on the podcast side, go ahead and follow us, like us, share us around. And if you're feeling very generous, go to www.buyturboabeer.com, where you can help fund the show, which is always appreciated. And any and all of those are greatly appreciated, and we love each and every one of our 2K crew. And like the graphic said here it is. If you do want to join the 2K crew, we say this all the time, this is probably the best group of investigative researchers around. They usually break stuff on the 2K crew Facebook group before it even pops up on your ESPN. So it is facebook.com/group/2K crew, and we'd love to see you in there. And if I'm not mistaken, 2Ks, I think we hit over 500 group members. Mm-hmm. So that's completely awesome. Mm-hmm. We've also hit, this was a couple weeks ago, I forgot to mention this, we have reached our 5,000th download. I think we're about 5,500 now, which is always awesome. And we're almost to 300 subs on the YouTube channel. So thank you all for your support. And one last shout out, I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Kyler Thornburg for coming through with buying us 3 beers last week.
Nice.
3 beers last week. So, Mr. Thornburg, we appreciate that. I need to make a little sound effect.
Especially with all of our negative takes on the Dodgers.
That is true.
Me hating on his boy Trevor Bauer all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kyler.
Well,
appreciate it.
You guys agree on Michigan football, so
yeah.
I mean, you guys do have a common ground there.
He does always have something to say about me with the Cowboys, though. So I feel like
true.
the Dodgers thing, maybe we're just even.
It's give and take. It's give and take. No big deal.
It's all good, clean fun.
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the best parts about sports. First part is watching it. Second part is bullshitting about it. And talking about bullshit, 2Ks, before we jump into this at hand, we've got the Braves game up here on ESPN, and going back to last week's episode where we kind of featured the spider tech and the foreign substance conspiracy, and there's been a little bit of an update on that, which I'm kind of glad from what I'm hearing is that they're going to be doing the quote-unquote inspections in between innings before the game, so it's not taking away from any part of the game, which is what you suggested. Yep. So obviously the Major League Baseball Association, the Players Association, listens to the show. So
yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully you get at least get a cut, a mention,
sure.
Pub the show, a reach around, whatever.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so just want to give a quick update on that. And one thing that really caught my eye was they had A-Rod on there and actually opened up and showed us what Spider Tech looked like. And oh my God, that shit looks like thick ass molasses, and which, considering what it's used for, and now that I see it, you watch the World's Strongest Man, and obviously that's what they use it for. So it doesn't surprise me that is what it looks like. But kudos to ESPN for actually showing everyone what it looks like. Just wanted to mention that. But without further ado, 2Ks, let's start with the American League. Not to say that the American League is less boring, but I think the hotter players, the vast majority of the hotter players, are going to be on the National League side. So let's save that. Let's build up to it. Mm-hmm. Don't want to blow our load too quick. So the way this is going to go down, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to start. I was going to go 1 through 9, but let's save all the pitchers till after the position players. So get right off into it in the American League 2Ks. Who is your starting catcher?
Starting catcher.
To me, this was an easy one.
Yeah. Start with you go first. You go with who you have. I haven't even looked at really catchers yet.
To me, it was an open and shut case for Salvador Perez.
Yeah.
The dude is the biggest bat on the Royals, and to be honest with you, in my opinion, he's the best catcher in the game. Mm-hmm. Right, all around catcher, hitting for power. Anytime that you have someone that, especially a catcher, and they mention you in the same breath as having as great or comparable power to Mike Piazza, to me that's a very, very high kudos. He's hitting for average, hitting for power, and like I said, he's basically the only power threat in that whole lineup. And I want to say let me see if I can bring this up here. Let me see if I still have it. It was, I don't have it, but I can find it here in a second. I want to say Yasmani Grandal was the second leading vote winner.
I see that.
I'm glad that baseball fans at least appreciate what's going on, or the season that Mr. Perez is having, because the last couple of years, he's been hurt, things haven't gone his way, so it's good to see that he's back where he needs to be, because even before going down, he was one of the prototypical, not prototypical, but one of the best in the business. Mm-hmm. So, are you leaning that way too?
Yeah.
Yep.
The young kid for that, because I know Grandal's kind of the everyday catcher there, but at the beginning of the season, the Mercedes kid was kind of put into case there, but his bat has kind of fizzled out a little bit. Not anything like he was doing first month of the season. Still putting together a hell of a rookie season. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's pretty easy. Salvador Perez has kind of been the catcher of the American League for, we're going on probably about 10 years now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree with you. He's the best catcher in the American League right now.
And the website I was looking for is MLB.com, and it's All-Star Ballot Phase 1. And so if you guys want to hop on and follow us along, the top leading vote getter is Salvador Perez at 43%, Yasmani Grandal 9%, Martin Maldonado 7%. However, I have to say Martin Maldonado probably has the best hair out of those three. And coming up at number 4 is Christian Vasquez for the Red Sox at 6%. And ironically enough, to round out the top 5, Kurt Suzuki for the Angels at 6%. And Christian Vasquez is having a hell of a year too. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have as much pop, obviously, as Perez, but he's I would say pretty close in batting average. And I think with him, he kind of gets lost in the shuffle in that Boston lineup as compared to Perez being a standout in that Royals lineup. So, all right, to me, the next one. Oh, and give a big shout out to John Rahm, winning the U.S. Open, 6 under. I bet I'm going to be fully transparent. I put my money on Brooks, and just didn't seem like he could get everything all together. Yeah, couldn't put together. He was putting together solid scores. It just he just couldn't get any momentum. Couldn't get any momentum.
Well, I thought it was awesome for Mr. Rahm too, just because of what happened to him a couple weeks ago at the Memorial Tournament, where he was basically, I think he tied course record or something like that.
6-shot lead.
And was just kind of basically running away with that tournament. Which, if nobody's people that are not very familiar with golf, the Memorial Tournament is right up there with your 4 majors. I mean, it's a big time tournament, and he was running away with it, and then tested positive for COVID, and they told him about the results after he had this round.
Yeah.
And obviously he had to disqualify himself from the tournament and was not able to finish it. So to see him come back a couple weeks later, win his first major of his career, arguably playing probably the best golf of anybody on the tour right now. So
that's very
kudos
true.
to him.
That's very true. But 2Ks, let's go from catcher to first. And again, for me, this one was rather easy. Slam dunk. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he's the top vote getter.
Yeah.
Mr. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
Your MLB leading home run hitter at, I think, 23. And which there's a couple other dudes closing in quick. So he's definitely not running away with this by any means.
No, I tell you, and on this list that I'm looking at, this is where the All-Star voting kind of becomes a popularity thing. Nothing against Jose Abreu. But he's not having the year that he had last year.
That he needs to shave that beard.
Yeah,
that is annoying as shit.
It is. I mean, to me, the guy that's knocking on the door, Jared Walsh from the Angels. Nobody's talking about him, but he's kind of quietly. I mean, you think about the Angels, you talk about Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. This guy named Jared Walsh, who I have to be honest with you, never even heard of the guy before the season started.
I'll be 100% honest, I didn't either.
He's the cleanup batter there. I want to say he's got somewhere in the teens for home runs this year. He's batting just under 300, so it's not just the power numbers. It's basically everything at the plate.
Yeah.
So he's their everyday first baseman, and so he's one I have. Obviously with what Vladdy's doing this year, you can't argue it, but this is closer than what I think a lot of people think, because Walsh's numbers are comparable. They're there.
Yeah, but like you said, it is, and that's one thing that I did want to point out is, excuse me, we're not going just for fan base. We're going. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a couple dudes that I gave a nod just because I really like them, but I could justify why doing that.
Yeah.
It's not just a fan.
Yep.
We're trying to give you our opinion. So, like I said, all of you watching live, if you agree, disagree, if there's someone we're missing, point it out. We'd love to get a conversation started. But Vlad's leading with 51% of the fan vote. Abreu's at 9%. Yuli Gurriel is Gurriel, not Gurriel, is 8%. And your boy Jared Walsh is 7%. And probably the best story in fucking baseball, Trey Mancini at 5%.
Yeah.
5%. And for those of you that don't know, he pretty much sat out all last year because he had colon cancer, I believe.
Yep.
Made a full comeback, and dude is raking.
Yep.
I mean, he's not just playing; he is one of the best players on the Orioles. So, big shout out to him as well. Big shout out to him. But yeah, to me, this was open and shut. I mean, there really wasn't.
I mean, if this was the end of the season, he's the MVP in the American League.
And that's in the article below this one. It's debating: would you take Vladdy if both players continue what they're doing, Vladdy or Ohtani, for MVP? That's going to be a good discussion. That's going to be a good discussion.
It is.
Which, as you know, 2K Crew, we will talk about that. So let's go from 3 to 4. Second base. Who do you got second base, 2Ks?
This one, to me, I have between Marcus Semien and Jose Altuve. And just because I don't fucking like Jose Altuve anymore,
right,
I'm giving the nod to Semien. I can't. Jose Altuve is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but I can't. He's in my eyes right now. He's a cheater. Maybe in 3 or 4 years I'll be able to look past that. Maybe I won't.
He'll still
I
be
might
a cheater
not ever be able
years.
to look past it again. And it's unfortunate because I really liked that team before all this shit come down. I jumped on that bandwagon for a little bit.
Me too. And for me, it kind of hit home more because obviously I'm a Red Sox fan, huge Pedroia fan. He was kind of like, that was the torch passing for the short guy, for the small guy, from Pedroia to Altuve. So it was an easy transition, and then all this shit came down. It's like, yeah, I'm done with that.
And for Marcus Semien, I mean, he's batting .283 with 18 home runs right now. So. Yeah. I mean, he's having a hell of a year for second baseman to be putting up numbers like that. New scenery, playing for a new team this year. He's my starting second baseman right now.
I'm going rogue on this one. I'm going Whit Merrifield.
Okay.
And
stolen base leader.
Stolen base leader, and you can't spell wit without hit. That's all all he does is rake. All he does, and I know I don't know how many Royals fans we have in our fan base here, but I've been seeing him play a lot of right field as well. So I mean that just kind of validates how athletic he is, and just his all around just awesomeness in my opinion. And not taking anything away from Marcus Semien, because Marcus Semien has 34% of the vote. Altuve's second at 20. DJ LeMahieu at 9. Nick Madrigal from the White Sox at 8. Whit Merrifield at 6%, and David Fletcher 6%. And so Whit's in the top 5. But to me, Whit's just one of those guys. If you had a whole team full of him, you would win a shit ton of games.
Yeah.
There really isn't a hole in his game. And the only kind of nitpicky thing is Semien probably has more home runs. But I would, and I'm not looking at the stats currently, but I'd be pretty sure that they're batting pretty close to the same average-wise. So to me, I'm taking more of the overall performance. Give me Whit Merrifield.
And Whit Merrifield's a way better defensive second baseman than Semien. Semien's never really been known for his defense, although it has improved, but just not the all-around player that Merrifield is. But as far as numbers of Merrifield right now, batting .274, so just a shade below, and then home runs are at 6. So so you're right about with what you said, but stolen base, he leads all of baseball right now in stolen bases. So.
Yep, and I know that's a lost art these days. Oh, Wander Franco be called up Tuesday for the Rays against the Red Sox. Here we go. For those of you who don't know who Wander Franco is, he's the number 1 ranked prospect in ESPN. And if you have been following baseball, you've been wondering, when the fuck is this guy going to get called up? Because he seems to be wearing out every single, A, AA, AAA that he's been facing. And to be honest with you, it's not like the Rays have a stud third baseman. So might as well.
Yeah, and this kid's been like the number 1 prospect in baseball since he was about 17, 18 years old. So.
Yeah. And guess who has his first Bowman Chrome? PSA 10. This guy. So, Wander, get out and rake. So that card will go up. Well, let's continue. Let's continue around the diamond and hit up third base. Now, the numbers to this one are a lot closer than any of the other ones that we've talked about so far. And people are probably going to say I'm a homer, but I got to give the nod to Devers. I was watching the Red Sox game yesterday, and they were trying to, I'm not going to say compare him to the Vladdies, the Tatises, the Trouts, but he's the Red Sox version of that. And that's pretty strong to say, considering batting right behind him is JD Martinez, who, by the way, yesterday hit his 100th home run as a Red Sox. And FYI, for all you Yankee fans, Giancarlo Stanton has 51 home runs as a Yankee. So just pointing that out there. But the leaps and bounds this kid has made, not only defensively, because that was the biggest drawback in his game coming up, was he was a below average third baseman. Not anymore. That kid can pick it. And when he first came in the league, he was swinging probably the hottest bat out of anybody. And then the pitchers found the hole, as they usually do. And it took him a year and a half or so to fix that hole, but man, is it fixed. It is fixed, it is plugged, it is unbelievable. The Red Sox last series against Houston, I want to say every pitch that he faced was a fastball except for 4. And he struggled. And he, obviously him and the hitting coach got together and they fixed that, because he went deep on a fastball yesterday. So, do you agree with Devers 2Ks?
Yeah, I think that one's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
It in my eyes it is, but the fans think it's closer than what we think, because Devers has 28%, Yohan Moncada 13%, Alex Bregman at 12%, Probably the sneaky one, which I'm surprised isn't higher, but probably because where he plays is Jose Ramirez at 9%, and then Anthony Rendon for the Angels at 7%. Ramirez is one of those dudes. Again, give me a whole team full of that dude. Give me a whole team full of that dude.
Well, that's how I feel about Anthony Rendon. I'd take him any day on my team. The problem with him this year is he just hasn't been healthy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough of him.
Pretty much that he's been that way since he's been with the Angels, which is sad.
Yep.
But one of the things that we talked about last week was, are the Angels for real? And as you can see, pretty much every position here is represented with at least a top 5 all-star getter or all-star vote getter. So I think that goes to show you, and they're doing it without Trout. So I think with them, it's how long can the pitching hold up? But no, I was kind of shocked that Jose Ramirez was not higher on this list, because I would take him over Bregman, over Moncada any day of the week. Any day of the week. And again, Bregman, the whole thing goes back to the Astros bullshit. So he's good, but no. Give me Jose Ramirez over him. So let's go to Shortstop. Shortstop. This one too, I was a little shocked at the numbers. But again, I got to go homer on this one and give it to Xander. So Xander Bogaerts, 31%. Bo Bichette coming in at 15%. Tim Anderson at 11%. Again, I think Tim Anderson's an extremely talented shortstop. Carlos Correa at 10%. And Adalberto Mondesi at 8% for the Royals. Yeah, this one to me, I was kind of shocked that Xander was running away with this. I figured there'd be, especially with Vladdy leading pretty much all the, he's the leading vote getter. I figured that would kind of vault up some of the numbers for his Blue Jays teammates, but Bo's not having a sophomore slump, that's for sure.
No, he's having a great year. But Xander Bogaerts is having a little bit better year. I'm with you on this. I take Bogaerts here. I think Bogaerts is the better defensive shortstop right now than Bichette. I think Bichette's improving there. But right now he's mostly known for what he can do at the plate. But I mean,
that and his big league lettuce.
Xander's batting well over 300. Probably has 13, 14 home runs, and I was just looking at Bichette's numbers. He's 270 with 14 home runs. So Bichette might have him beat home runs, but probably only by 1 or 2. And I know for a fact that Bogaerts is batting well over 300.
Yeah, and probably a little bit better of a glove. A little bit better of a glove. All right, and let's move into the outfield now. Like I said, the outfield, we're not going to pick specific right, center, or left. Just the top three outfielders in the American League. 2Ks, go. In your opinion.
Well, the top one is not healthy right now.
True, but he's still on my list.
Yeah, so I don't think I can have him on my list right now. Aaron Judge is in there for me.
He's on mine too.
He's in there.
He seems to be the only one in New York that's constantly hitting.
Man, I don't know. It's so hard to go through this because there's the American League outfielders. It's kind of just there's not like those big time names that are just like a Ronald Acuna. That are just running away with it. Like we said at the very beginning of this, the National League is a lot more fun to talk about right now than the American League is. I guess I'm going back on it. If Mike Trout's healthy, which I don't think he's going to be, or even if he is, they're just starting to work him back into it, and I would be very surprised if they want to play him and want him to play in the All-Star game. But he's the best player in baseball right now, so I'm putting him in there.
Yeah, it's Mike fucking Trout. He's my number one. Judge was my number 2. And
a really funny one that you're probably going to laugh at me when I say this, but if you look at the numbers, and for anybody that's like us that collect cards and Cedric Mullins. Cedric Mullins, if you look at his numbers, he's very, very worthy of being talked about in this conversation. And to me, I have him right up there with Byron Buxton. He's another one that's right there. But I think if I had to pick one right now to take that last outfield spot, I'm going Adolis Garcia from Texas.
Okay. He's hitting the cover off the ball.
He is. I mean, defensively, I don't know if he's right there, but offensively, what he's doing at the plate and the power numbers, and just destroying the ball.
Yeah.
So
basically, he's come out of nowhere.
That's the shit that sells, and that's what people want to see in the All-Star game are home runs. So
dropping dick and hitting bombs.
That he would be my last one to get in. So I got Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, and Adolis Garcia.
I've got Alex Verdugo, and again, might be a little. This one is a homer pick. I'll be flat out honest. This is a homer pick, but if you sit down and look at his numbers compared to Mookie Betts, his numbers are better. His numbers are better. And he's not hitting in an all-star lineup, as much of an all-star lineup as the Dodgers. And Mookie is probably a better center fielder or right fielder. I'll give him that. He's probably better defensively, but not by much. Not by much. And I think what Verdugo's doing in Boston, I mean, you look at probably out of the last 5 games, he's had 2 walk-off hits. So he's clutch as hell. And just his game is improving so much and by so many leaps and bounds that just got to give him the nod. I just got to give him the nod. And just to kind of give you the breakdown, excuse me. Of course, Trout's leading the list. I mean,
how do you not? If the guy even has a pulse, he's got to be in the All-Star game starting in center field. He's where we're at right now. I know there's some great players that are up and coming. Baseball has never probably seen this amount of young, great. I mean, amazing talent. But Mike Trout's still the best player in the game.
It's a gold standard.
Where we're at right now.
He's a gold standard. Number 2 is Aaron Judge. Well, Trout's at 15%, Judge at 11%. Your boy Byron Buxton is at 8%. And yes, Jeff, we know Wander's getting called up Tuesday. Makes his debut with the Red Sox. Thank you for the message, Joe. Adolis Garcia, 7%. Teoscar Hernandez for the Blue Jays at 5%. Randall Grichich for said Blue Jays at 4%.
That team can fucking hit.
Yeah.
God, they're another team that just can't pitch.
Yeah.
So we talk about the Braves. They're like the American League version of the Braves.
And in just as hard of a division. So, see, there's ESPN going.
Everybody's going nuts now because
Wander Franco. So if you play fantasy baseball, ESPN just said he's available in 69.4% of the leagues. So go ahead and grab him. After Verdugo at 4% is the postseason darling Randy Arozarena at 4%. Michael Brantley, again, just another solid stud hitter, 3%. He's probably the only one on the Astros I like. And it's hard to argue because his game is just, that's all he does. He's solid. And then your boy Cedric Mullins at 3%. And ironically enough, Andrew Benintendi, the ex-Red Sox, current Royal, 3%. And I was kind of shocked to see some of these names on the ballots. Some of them this high. So kind of goes now. Again, once we get into the National League, you're going to see some new names on there, but not nearly as many, to me, new names than this list. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the DH 2 case. And to me, this one it wasn't hard, but it was because there's one DH in mind that is near and dear to my heart. But there's a DH that's having a way better season, even though JD's having a hell of a season. But I got to give it to Ohtani. And this is the thing too. I put him as a DH. I'll be kind of foreshadowing here a little bit. He is not in my 3 starting pitchers. But that would be kind of weird if in the All-Star game he hit and pitched. I think that'd be kind of cool. But the season he's having at the plate is phenomenal. So even though, like I said, JD's having a very good year, but JD's having a JD year. If you look at all of his last seasons, or pretty much most of the prior seasons, everything's right on par. Everything's right on par. He's having a standard JD Martinez season. But for Ohtani to be doing what he's doing, he deserves that starting nod, in my opinion. You with me on that one?
Yeah, I agree with you. And this is hard too. And I kind of go a different route than JD. Nothing against JD. But to me, after Ohtani, there's a couple first basemen that deserve to be considered. And because I don't know how that works with the All-Star, if they go to strictly a DH, or are they willing to, if, say, Shohei wasn't doing what he is doing, which he's ran away with the DH role.
Right.
Probably, he could pitch in the damn game, too. I mean, he's that good at both of them.
And he's hitting in the home run derby.
Yeah.
He's already come out and said
so
that.
he's ran away with the DH, but, man, when you look at, Walsh, we were talking about earlier, Matt Olson in Oakland, what he's doing. He's batting over 300 with 20 home runs. I mean, and nobody's even talking about the guy.
Nope. He's on the left coast, dude.
That's where if Shohei had not run away with it, my thing is a guy like Matt Olson doesn't deserve to be the first baseman to come off the bench in the game because of what Vladdy's doing. He deserves to be the starting DH, or he's a better defensive first baseman. So maybe Vladdy would be my DH in that situation. So because to me, JD's having a great year, but I think Matt Olson and what Walsh is doing in LA. Those two guys are having better seasons than JD at this point.
That's the breakdown. They only give us 4 names. Ohtani is at 33%. JD is at 18%. Yordan Alvarez is at 9%, and Yerman Mercedes is at 8%. All right, so that's pretty much our starting lineup. So before we jump into the pitchers 2Ks, who are your 3 reserve players?
2 of them I just mentioned.
Okay.
Walsh and Matt Olson. Those two. I know it's not, now we have a clusterfuck at first base, but all 3 of those guys are well deserving. So there's 2 of them right off the bat that are getting in, and then another guy that I thought was a pretty. When we were talking about it, we both agreed that Bogarts is the starting shortstop, but with what Bo Bichette is doing in one of the most powerful offenses in all of baseball as a shortstop, he would be my number 3 guy, Bo Bichette.
I went Bichette as well, but I went JD Martinez, and I went to the other side of the diamond, and I'm picking Matt Chapman, which I know he's a favorite of yours, and a favorite of mine.
Flat out play defense, man.
Yep. I mean, it's in this.
I love that Oakland A's team.
Yeah.
I mean, not to jump on the old bandwagon with my boy Dallas, but damn, I like that team a lot.
Chicken titties. But the interesting part to me is once you get past the American League starters, the reserves are going to be the interesting conversation. Not so much the starters, but who's going to be the reserves. So for your money, 2Ks, who are you putting on the mound inning 1 for the American League? And this is kind of hard because there's more. I'm pretty sure we're both going to agree, hands down, who the National League starter is going to be. But with the American League, it seems to me that there's a lot of people that we deem studs that have had some hiccups. And one of them that comes to mind is Shane Bieber. He started out the season like a house of fire, and now maybe he's coming back down to earth. Maybe he's being more mortal. Garrett Cole's the same way. How is Garrett Cole going to go forward with all this spider tech bullshit? There's going to be a lot of unknowns. And I've got 3 guys. I'll have to admit one of them probably will not be healthy, but I think he's deserving to be on my squad, even though he said he's not going to be healthy. I've got Garrett Cole on the mound. Pains me as a Red Sox fan to say that, but dude can flat out pitch. There's not even with his recent hiccups, even with this botched press conference.
He didn't really botch it though. I mean, he didn't say.
You're right. He just didn't say anything.
He just didn't say anything, and maybe that was the right approach to go about it.
Very true.
I mean, it didn't matter what he said. Everybody knew.
Yeah.
That he was using it along with pretty much all of Major League Baseball.
Yeah. Yeah. They just
he just had the biggest target on his back because he's
contract.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's the highest paid pitcher in all of baseball, and he's arguably the best pitcher in all of baseball.
Yep.
I'm going Carlos Rodon.
He's my number 2. He's my number 2. Quietly is putting together. Well, it shouldn't be quietly. He's already thrown a no-hitter. He came close against the Tigers a couple weeks ago, throwing his second no-hitter of the season, and they were breaking down his velocity. And every year his velocity keeps getting higher. And there's some games he's pumping it up there 100 miles an hour now. But when he came in the league, it was 91, 92. And a lot of folks are saying that that's part of what Tommy John does. It gives you that little bit extra. Your arm's a little bit stronger, and obviously you're taking that season off to rehab, get stronger, and everything else. So whatever he's doing it fucking fantastic. Doing it fantastic. But I've got, like I said, my number 2 is Rodon, rightfully so. And
so ours would just be flip-flop because my number 2 would be Garrett Cole.
Okay. And my number 3 is Tyler Glasnow. He was my Cy Young Award winning pick, which obviously he's had some elbow problems. I haven't heard if if he is going Tommy John. I haven't heard that yet, but it's looking that way. So that's kind of a shame, especially with him moving forward and the Rays moving forward this year, because that Rays team is pretty badass. And then like I said, even though he obviously will not be able to participate in the game, he's still on my squad. Who's your last one?
I'd like to stick to another team that I think is really, really good, and I talked about earlier, that Oakland team that I really like. I'm going Sean Manaya.
Okay.
A guy that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, and his team doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but consistently play very good baseball. He's got an ERA, I think, just over 3, 6 or 7 wins, so he's right up there with about all the other pitchers. Another lefty. I like lefties, so him and Rodon both being lefties on this team. But yeah, I just like I want to see some of these other teams get the love and not just the same names like your Garrett Coles. Obviously, Shane Bieber's another one that I had right up there, kind of in my top, 4 or 5, but. No, I'm going with somebody different, and that's one thing that I enjoy about watching the All-Star game is getting some fresh blood in there, getting some new guys. We talked about Rafi Devers, your guy. I'm pretty sure this would be his first ever.
I believe so.
All-Star game, let alone starting at third base. So and deserves it. So, but to see some different guys instead of you watch the same guys roll out there every single year. And most of the time they're always have Yankees uniforms on or Dodgers uniforms on. So to see something different, see some Oakland uniforms out there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, 2Ks, it wraps up our American League squad. All right, so let's switch gears to the National League. Like I said, I think this one's going to be spicier. I think this one's going to be spicier. And to kind of further your point, 2Ks, it's that. I think what we're going to see with the obviously the influx of younger talent, I think it's going to be forcing some of these veterans that have been perennial all-stars to keep their game tight or step their game up. Otherwise, they're not going to be there anymore. So let's start out with, again, let's go behind the plate. And
Buster Posey.
I was going to go Buster.
I mean, he's the best catcher in all of baseball.
He's what I mean. I'm trying to find the numbers here, and he was the number 1. Nope, there it is. Buster Posey leads the vote getting with 30%. I'm going Yachty. Just because.
Just because it's Yachty.
Yeah, and this could be his last year.
Yep.
Could be his last year. If anyone deserves to ride out into the sunset, it is Yachty or Molina. Probably the best all-around catcher of at least my lifetime. And probably historically top 3, I would say. And the glaring difference between Posey and Molina is hitting.
Yeah.
Buster is a way better hitter. It's good to see him back in the league this year after taking last year off. And he looks like to have brand new legs. I mean, everything is popping for him. Yeah. Well, him and that whole team.
When have you ever really seen a catcher in baseball ever that, his batting average is always over 300. Mm-hmm. He's always got, above average power. This year he's got, I'm looking at it right now, 12 home runs. I mean, so great numbers for a catcher. By the end of the season, he'll be somewhere in between that 20 and 30 range, mm-hmm. probably. But you just don't see that as for a catcher, and and it's not like he goes out there and plays shit defense. He's not Yachty caliber, defender behind the plate, but he's a well above average defender mm-hmm. behind the plate, and then also hands down the best hitting catcher that I've probably ever seen.
Yeah, he's, and to me, it's even more of a testament of his ability is to take that year off. Mm-hmm. Take that year off and come back and still be that. I mean, it's like he never lost a step or came back even better. And like I said, he's got 30%. Yachty's got 16. Wilson Contreras for the Cubs is 11. Will Smith getting jiggy with it is at 11%, and William Contreras, the rookie for Atlanta, is at 6%. That Contreras for Atlanta is good.
Yeah,
I just need to see more of him.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Smith. I think, in my opinion, that's a fan vote. That's not a, not performance-wise, because I would take he wouldn't even be on this list for me. But Wilson Contreras again for the Cubs is probably one of the better power hitting catchers. But when you got those other two up there, it's kind of hard to compete. You got the perennial all-star. Well, both of them are perennial all-stars, Posey and Molina, but Molina's been doing it quite a bit longer. All right, so let's move over to first base. I've got Freddie Freeman.
Absolutely.
I mean, reigning NL MVP. But if you ask Chipper Jones, that's cute. Do it for 162. But yeah, to me, this one was easy.
Yeah.
This one was easy. So yeah, both the first base in American League and National League were pretty easy to me. However, again, I think this has to do with the fan vote. Max Muncie is at 23%. Freddie Freeman at 16. Anthony Rizzo at 12. Eric Hosmer at 10. And Jesus Aguilar for the Marlins at 7%.
And I agree with you that that's a big fan jump there with the Dodger lovers, but. Don't get me wrong, Muncie is a hell of a baseball player, and I think he gets forgotten. He gets forgotten because of the big names there, like your Mookie Betts and your Cody Bellingers and your Corey Seagers, and the list goes on. Mm-hmm. But so Muncie just doesn't get talked about as much, but the guy just puts up consistent, really good numbers.
He doesn't get talked about,
year.
And then his bombs.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what he does.
Yep.
That's pretty much what he does. But yeah,
But Freeman's he's
an all-around better player.
Yeah.
All-around better player, and he's coincidentally up to bat right now. And yeah, he's pretty much second on the team in pretty much everything offensively behind Acuna, which Acuna is leading. He's in the top 1, 2, or 3 in all those categories in the entire baseball. So to be second to him is not anything to shake a stick at. Not anything to shake a stick at. So let's move over to second. This one was kind of weird, and this one too is. As far as the numbers are concerned, very similar. Again, the numbers I'm getting are from MLB.com, and then do a 2021 All-Star Ballot Phase 1 First Standings search, and you will find the page I'm on. I gotta go with with Freddie's second baseman, Ozzie Albies. Switch hitter. Plays phenomenal defense. Probably the most underpaid dude on this whole league, on this whole list. But to me, he's kind of that. I'm not going to say head and shoulders above everybody, but of this list, I think he's been doing it a lot longer. Even though he hasn't been in the league that long, he's been doing it a lot longer than the rest of these four guys. So he's at 17%. So this one is another close race. Who you leaning towards?
This one's tough with me. Albies is right there with me. I'm gonna go the other way. I'm gonna go Frazier in Pittsburgh. Obviously a bad baseball team.
Yes. But he is one of the standout parts of that.
Leadoff batter for them. Bats three. I mean, I think he's last I looked, he was like 330 somewhere in that range. Just does what a leadoff batter needs to do. Gets on base. Unfortunately, doesn't have the guys on his team to get him around and score runs. I mean, but
and when they do, they forget to step on first base.
To get on this all-star team where you're going to have teammates like Ronald Acuna, Fernando Tatis. I mean, the list goes on. Freddie Freeman, we just talked about. Good things are going to happen when you're batting 330 and you put him in the leadoff spot, or even if you want to flip him and put him at the bottom of the lineup where he rolls back into the top. Just be a table setter. He doesn't need to be a guy. We don't with this team and with this lineup. You don't need any more guys to hit it out of the park or anything like that. You just need a guy to be on base. So, and he's proven this year that there's really not anybody else in baseball better than him at getting on base. So
it's true.
That's where I'm rolling with him. I'm going with the Pittsburgh guy. Showing a little Pittsburgh love, and because they need anything they can get right now.
Yeah, and their young stud, Cabrian Hayes, hits bombs and forgets to touch first base. So, but you're right. He's in the 2-hole right now. It's set at 12%. Gavin Lux for the Dodgers is at 10%. Nico Horner for the Cubs is at 10%, and Jake Cronenworth, which we just talked about last night, is for the Padres is at 9%. It seems like every time I watch a highlight, Cronenworth hits a home run, yet he only has 8. Only has 8. So that you might be questioning, well, Turbo, you might not watch a lot of highlights. No, I watch a lot of highlights. But it is kind of weird to say that out of this crew, Albies is the grizzled vet because he hasn't been in the league that long. Now I hope that Gavin Lux does continue to go up this list because I have a lot of his rookie cards. But slide over to third base, 2Ks. I think the numbers here are going to shock you a little bit. No, they're not. I'm going to tell you right out the gate. The number one guy, complete fan vote. Fan vote.
I already know where you're going with this.
Who do you think it is?
Chris Bryant.
Yep. But on your team,
he doesn't even hardly play third base.
No, he's been playing more right field.
Yeah.
And was that Wisdom Kid is the one that's at third base right now?
And I think this position's really easy.
Arenado.
Yeah. He's the best third baseman in all of baseball.
Arenado, and the aforementioned Chris Bryant's at 29%. Arenado's at 14%. Which I don't know. Like I said, he should be at like 75%. Justin Turner, solid dude. He's one of those annoying dudes that you hate because he's not on your team at 12%. Manny Machado is at 11%. And another Atlanta Brave, Austin Riley, who's had and he's actually up to bat right now, is having a breakout year. And he's coming in at 11%. So, but yeah, this is hands down a very easy one.
Yeah, I take Arenado and I take Justin Turner before I take Chris Bryant there at third.
I would take Machado before.
Yeah.
Right
now when we start talking, when we get to the outfield category, Chris Bryant might be up there, but then you look at the loaded National League outfielders.
Just gonna say that.
Unfortunately, I mean, for me, when it all plays out, Chris Bryant's not even on my.
No, I'm right there with you, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that we're in agreement. Who's gonna start at shortstop?
This is, in my opinion, the easiest one of the whole night. I mean, this is the best. I think he's the best player, active player in baseball right now. And I say active because Mike Trout's not active right now.
Yeah, and rightfully so. He's leading the votes at 40%.
Yeah.
Javi Baez is at 13. Corey Seager is at 9. Brandon Crawford getting some love like he should at 7%.
Yeah, he's having a hell of a year.
Yes, having a hell of a year in a walk year and would look very good in a Tigers uniform. BT Dubs, and then your boy Trey Turner coming in at 6%, which Trey Turner's having a Trey Turner year. And I Trey Turner, again, is one of those dudes. Give me a whole team full of him.
Yeah.
Give me a whole team full of him, and you would win a ton of ball games. But yeah, this one's an open and shut case.
Yeah.
And like I said, the three there in the middle, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure this isn't a walk year for Trey. But for Javi, Seager, and Crawford, these are all walk years. So they're obviously trying to put up as best numbers as they can to maximize that next contract. All right. Let's go to the outfield, 2Ks. Let's go to the outfield. And nope, that's American League. There's National League. All right. And again, the outfield has some names that we're used to seeing there perennially, but there's some new names coming in that I'm glad the fans are actually seeing this, and it's not a shocker. Acuna is the top vote getter.
Yep.
But it's not as it's closer than what you think. Closer than what you think, and I'm pretty sure we're both starting Acuna in center.
Yes.
Yeah. So who's your number 2 guy?
Castellanos.
And he comes in at number 2.
I mean,
hitting the cover off.
Yeah, and I mean he's done it. He's done it for. I mean, he did it in Detroit. Then he went to Chicago and just fucking mashed for Chicago.
He was the best player on the Cubs.
For some reason, Chicago let him go. I mean, I'd take Nick Castellanos right now over all of the big boppers in Chicago. I'd take him over Bryant. I'd take him over Baez, and I'd take him over Rizzo.
Well, if you remember, he hit better than all of those guys.
He's a better baseball player than all 3 of those guys that I just talked about.
Yeah, especially
Cubs
right
fans,
now.
if you want to argue it with me, let's fucking go.
So, as I say, especially right now, and that's and I you have to have him. You have to. Who's your third?
Mookie Betts.
Okay, Mookie's coming in at 4. And like we talked, like I brought up, Verdugo has better numbers than Mookie. Mookie's not having his normal Mookie season. Will he end up having a Mookie season? Absolutely, because he's Mookie fucking Betts.
Well, this is one that, like, we're talking about Mike Trout, with him not even being healthy right now. Don't even know if he's going to be in the game, but if he is got a pulse, he's going to be on the field because he's the best player in the game. Well, Mookie Betts is in that conversation too, as being, if he's not the best player in the game, he's the number 2 or number 3 best player in the game. So, I probably have Fernando Tatis right there, and then to me that 3-4 spot is a battle between Mookie Betts and Acuna. And Mookie Betts has just he's earned to be in that conversation, the right to be in that conversation with what he has done in his career so far. Guys like Acuna and guys like Vladdy Jr., those guys are just starting starting their career. Even you can say the same thing about Tatis. Mookie Betts has done it for a long time now, and that's why he's
kind of scary because he's young too.
Yeah, but he's done it for so long that he's earned that right to me, to where even where Mookie's not having the normal Mookie year, he's earned the right to just be in the fucking game because it's Mookie fucking Betts.
Well, I went rogue on this one. I'm going Juan Soto, and Mookie comes in at 4. Juan Soto at 5. Neither one of us mentioned number 3. So Acuna comes in at 16%. Castellanos at 11%. Jesse Winker for the Cincinnati Reds coming in at 9%. Mookie coming at 8%. Soto coming at 4%. Chris Taylor for the Dodgers, he's one of those, another annoying out. Gets clutch hit after clutch hit at 4%. Bryce coming in at 3%. Trent Grisham at 3%. Excuse me. Ketel Marte at 3%. Again, you could tell the Cubs votes were just all... Cubs fans are voting out their ass because Jock Peterson at 2%. Christian Yelich at 2%. And Tyler O'Neill, who's having an amazing season, for the Cardinals at 2%. But yeah, the number 1, get out of here. Again, arguably the best... You could argue he's the best player in the National League. I think it's a daily toss-up between him and Tatis. And again, it's a daily toss-up as to who's leading the National League in home runs between those two. So you can't go wrong with either one. But I'm glad the fans are finally noticing Nick Castellanos, because obviously being so close to Detroit and watch as many Tigers games as we have, and you being an extreme Tigers fan, we've seen this. We've seen this movie. We know how it ends, and it ends pretty fucking good. And it's I'm glad everyone else around baseball is seeing it as well. But big shout out to Jesse Winker, man. He's come out of nowhere, and I'm pretty sure you really wouldn't even know who he was unless you're a Reds fan. But yeah, it's good to see. Like I said, there's some perennial guys on here, and there's some new up and comers coming on here. So that's always awesome to see. Always awesome to see. So 2Ks, we're down to DH, which for the National League is kind of open. Kind of open. Where are you going on this one?
Well, I just, after naming off my outfield and having Acuna, Castellanos, and then I went Mookie Betts. I left Winker off of there. Winker would be my DH in that role. He slides into that. You know, the National League doesn't have their, you know, a designated DH. So, just basically, I looked through the whole list. And just found who I thought was the most deserving player to be starting the All-Star game, and to me, it's Jesse Winker. He can easily be a starting outfielder in the game, but because I gave the nod to Betts, and obviously Betts is the better defensive outfielder, so to me, Winker just slides into the DH spot.
I'm bringing back your boy Adam Frazier.
Okay.
Again, one of the reasons I went with him is look at all the pop in this fucking lineup. This lineup could have 12 to 13 solo home runs. I want someone on base. I want, like you said, a table setter. I want someone to get on base. And for me, and with all this other power, you don't need a power hitting DH. You just need someone on base. And this dude's raking. So, again, I bypassed him for my second baseman, but still got to give him some love. So let's, again, I already pointed it out. I'm pretty sure both of us have DeGrom starting for the National League. He's the best pitcher on the fucking planet.
Yeah.
I've never heard of, especially this deep into a season, where a pitcher's had more RBIs than earned runs. But is he going to be healthy? That's going to be the key. He's even came out and said, you know, these these injuries and everything are getting really, really annoying. And as a fan, they're getting really annoying. So I can only imagine what he's going through. So who's your other two pitchers, 2Ks?
Kevin Gausman.
I mean,
he's right there with DeGrom, you know, with the health issues. Do we even? I mean, the Mets might just decide that they don't even want DeGrom being a part of this. So if DeGrom's not going to play in the All-Star game, to me, Gausman's a starting pitcher in the National League. And then for my number 3 guy, rookie Trevor Rogers from the Marlins. I mean, he's the fucking truth. I mean, this Marlins team is they're a good team.
Fucking Derek Jeter.
And yeah, I mean, we ripped on Jeter since we started this podcast for some of the shit that he's done with trades, but man, he had a plan.
He's got a hell of a scouting department. Let's put it that way.
He had a plan, and this Trevor Rogers kid, he's fun to watch. Very fun to watch. Big, kind of overpowering lefty. But also kind of crafty too. You know, he reminds me a lot of Tyler Glasnow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
both
like
of them
him.
are tall as shit.
So yeah, to me, those 3 pitchers, I think that's awesome. Obviously DeGrom, you could chalk him up as being one of the best pitchers in the game before the season started. But who the fuck was talking about Gausman and Rogers at the beginning of the season?
To be honest with you, I didn't even know Kevin Gausman was still in the league.
Yeah.
Last I knew, he pitched for the Braves.
Yeah. And I bet the Braves could they would really take him right now.
Oh God, yes. I'm going a different Trevor. I'm going Trevor Bauer. Leads the National League in strikeouts. Always gives you at least 6 innings. Always competitive. And I'm giving him the nod for the reason that you hate him, is just for the content.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just for the content. And
man, there's some good pitchers in the National League, though.
Well, we didn't even talk about Walker Buehler. I mean, there's a drove of pitchers you could talk about.
Nobody ever talks about Brandon Woodruff.
No,
being there in Milwaukee.
There's him,
and he's been doing it for multiple years now.
Yeah. I mean that's the biggest strength of that Brewers team is their pitching.
DeGrom's teammate Marcus Stroman. I mean, I think
resurgent.
Yeah.
Last time he was, in my opinion, before this year, the last time he was relevant was in the World Baseball Classic. Then again, pitching up north with the Blue Jays, guarantee the Blue Jays would love to have him back. But you're 100% right. There's a shit ton of other guys that you're like, okay, yeah.
Joe Musgrove has been awesome for San Diego. Can't get any run support. Loses games and only gives up 1-2 runs. He's got the same problem as DeGrom. Doesn't get any run support. Then we got a guy that we haven't even mentioned yet, Max Scherzer. Yeah. Been one of the best pitchers in the game for years now.
There's no mention of Kershaw, even though Kershaw is having a very sharp year. Flaherty, another guy. But then again, you're seeing a lot of these, a lot of the guys that we mentioned have been nicked up and dinged up. And
the guy that I bet the Cubs fans wish they would still have, Yu Darvish. Just having a typical Yu Darvish season.
Yeah, Blake Snell's the same way. I mean, to have those type of seasons for those guys, in those big trades, they could have easily went the route of putting too much pressure on themselves and stuff like that, where they're just being the normal thing. And yes, that is the main thing. Another linchpin to the Cubs is their pitching. Mm-hmm. So again, huge. It's one of those. Yeah, they would much rather have them back. So we did that. So we're on to our reserves now, mm-hmm. Huh? Okay. Well, I'm kind of siding with the fans here. I'm going Chris Bryant as one of mine. And got to give the nod to Mookie. It's not an all-star game without Mookie Betts. But in the outfield, starting, no, I can't have it. And the last one is Max Muncie. Mm. I had Chris Taylor on there, and I scratched him out and put Max Muncie. And I don't think with either one you'd be upset by taking them. Mm. But who are your 3 2Ks?
Well, I'm going with, and you can go ahead and give me shit on this one, but I'm going Trey Turner. I've never really shied away from it. He is my favorite player in the league.
Look how many of my favorite players are.
I mean, yeah, he's my favorite player in the league. He always has been. In a lot of years, I think he would be the starting shortstop. Unfortunately, he has a guy by the name of Fernando Tatis that holds down that position.
Yeah, and he's going to for a while.
And yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, he gets on base. He's got sneaky power. And then he steals bases. He's just he just manufactures runs. He plays very good shortstop. Just a good all-around player. He would be my number one. And then number 2 is going to be his teammate Juan Soto. Mm-hmm. Not having the typical season that I think that a lot of us expected, but exactly. He's one that I expect is going to get really hot in the second half of the season, and he's one of the most exciting players in all of baseball. I mean, he's right there in the category with Tatis and Acuna, mm-hmm. and the Soto shuffle and the excitement that he brings.
I love it.
To me, that kind of stuff, that shit just needs to be in the All-Star game. He needs to be there in that, and because of what some of these other guys are doing, he's not on my starting lineup, but he's got to be right there and be playing in this game. And then number 3, I'm going Muncie also. I mean, he's kind of the forgotten guy there in LA. They always you talk about so many of the big names there, but arguably maybe the most consistent player they have is Muncie.
Yeah, and it excuse me, between him and Turner third baseman, yeah, Turner.
Yeah.
Those guys are like the linchpin of that team.
Yeah. And for the longest time, we didn't know if the Dodgers were even going to pay Turner.
Yeah,
they're willing to pay. And it seems like anybody and everybody, but
David Price.
Yeah, but you're not going to re-sign Justin Turner, who's been nothing but good for you since he's put a Dodgers uniform on.
It seems like anytime the postseason rolls around, he's the best hitter.
Yeah,
in the lineup. So, or most consistent hitter in the lineup. So, when it comes down to who's winning this game, to me, it's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
National League. I think I think the National League hangs up 15 runs on the American League just because of all of that firepower.
Yeah, and then on both sides of the ball. I mean, how do you hit some of this pitching that they have? I mean, teams haven't hit any of these guys all year long. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's. The thing with baseball is it can always go either way. It's one game, and who knows what's going to happen. All it takes is somebody having one off night, but if you just look at these two teams on paper, it's not even close.
No.
If these two teams were going to play a 7-game series, I think that I gave it to the National League in 5. Like maybe the American League can slide out one game, but
if you look at it. Compare it position to position. I'm going to use my list here, for example, because we're both very similar. Perez versus Molina, give it to Perez. Vladdy versus Freeman, give it to Vladdy. Whit Merrifield versus to Albies. That one's kind of a toss-up. Mm-hmm. Devers to Arenado. Xander to Tatis. The Trout to Acuna. Just you got to give it to Acuna just because he's healthy playing, right now. Aaron Judge to Soto. give it to Soto. Verdugo to Castellanos. So, and then once you get to the pitching, you got to take DeGrom over Cole.
Mm-hmm.
So you're 100% right. Now, where I think it's going to be interesting once it gets to the bullpens of these two teams. Because it seems to me, just with the exception of Josh Hader, the American League might have the advantage in the bullpen. But how many... I don't know if you can bring in that many arms to combat this fucking lineup.
Yeah.
I really don't. And then, like I said, too, this team's going to be deeper than National League. Just because there's so many more options.
And this National League team, they might not even carry that many starting pitchers, per se, on this. Not starting pitchers, but relief pitchers, because they have Max Scherzer, I'll fucking take him. He can come out in the ninth and pitch it for me.
Just give me 8 starters and Hader.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Ball game. Easiest managing job ever. Dave Roberts has this one locked up.
Yep.
Has it locked up. All right. Well, I think that concludes all of our picks. 2K Crew, what do you think? There's always someone you leave off the list. Always someone you leave off the list. Who did I leave off? Who did 2Ks leave off? Let us know in the comments. And I think that wraps it up, 2Ks. Anything else?
Nope.
Because we're at about that hour 5, so perfect timing. Well, 2K Crew, I hope everyone has a great week. Happy Father's Day, 2Ks. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope you guys had an amazing day. I know I did. I know you got out on the golf course, won some money. So I probably couldn't get much better than that.
No,
probably couldn't get much better than that. So, all right, 2K Crew, we will catch you next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.